In today's video, I will give you an exclusive look inside an e-commerce Google Ads account that makes more than $1 million in monthly revenue. Here's the account on the screen here, and as you can see, they are doing £984,000. So this account is in pounds, not in dollars. And when we convert that to dollars at today's exchange rate, it's $1.2 million per month. As you can see up here, we are on the last 30 days here, so this is per month, 3x revenue, spending about £326,000 per month. That's about $400,000, making about $1.2 million per month. Now, I recently did a roadmap for this client, which is a sort of really in-depth audit and analysis that my team and I at Big Flare do for our clients. And today I'm going to show you the account and show you the roadmap that we did. Now, this client needs to remain anonymous, but what I can tell you is that they're UK-based, direct-to-consumer, and that they sell furniture almost exclusively from their website. So what you're getting today in this video is an in-depth look inside a Google Ads account that does $1 million per month in e-commerce revenue. You'll learn my exact strategies for optimizing Google Ads at this level. And you will be able to apply these strategies in your own Google Ads account so that you too can add an extra zero on your business revenue. Sound good with you? Let's dive in. All right, so before I dive into the roadmap document itself, let's just have a look at the spend distribution and the channel selection for this high-level advertiser. So, spending £3,000 to £6,000 per month, and that is broken down into search, £64,000, about $70,000. Shopping campaigns, so that's equivalent to about $300,000. And those are the two main things. So one thing to note about this account is that it's mostly shopping. They are not actually doing any Performance Max, and we're going to cover that in a moment later. I do have some recommendations for them in terms of Performance Max, but they are primarily doing shopping and a little bit of search. I happen to think their search activity could be a lot higher. They could be maybe doing double the spend here for more than double the revenue, but we'll cover that in the roadmap section. And then a little bit of display and a little bit of video, and this is pretty typical for high-level e-commerce advertising accounts that we do in Google Ads and that I see in Google Ads. You're going to see a chunk of the change on shopping, most of the change on shopping, and some on search as well. I happen to think that their search is kind of underspending. For someone who does £233,000 per month in shopping spend, I think you can easily be spending £150,000, like $200,000 or more on search once you've got your search campaigns really well optimized. So those are just like a couple of benchmarks for you. Like if you want to run your e-commerce Google Ads account at a very high level, you're probably looking at a lot of shopping spend, quite a lot of search spend, and then you're probably looking at a little bit of spend on display and a little bit of spend on video, and that's primarily going to be retargeting, right? And then if we look at the return on ad spend, this is also pretty typical as well. So search gets a great overall return on ad spend. Now that is blended between brand and non-brand. Their brand campaigns obviously do a lot higher. Their non-brand campaigns do a little bit lower, and then it averages out to 6.5. But that is strong on the search front, and that's part of the reason why I think we can be scaling up search in this account. And then shopping, they are deliberately running at a 2x ROAS, which is kind of like a bit lower than they want to be running, but this is another strategy that you can use, right? Like they typically want to be getting 3x ROAS, but at the moment we're deliberately running shopping at a lower ROAS in order to clear stock. So this is something you can do in your business as well. Like if you've got a warehouse full of stock that you just need to clear right now, you can run your Google Ads, your shopping and your search activity at a lower ROAS target than you normally would. And that allows the system to bid higher, which allows you to appear in more auctions, make more clicks and sales, and thus you clear your stock faster. So this is kind of like a short-term objective for this client. Just lower the ROAS so that we can get the sales higher and clear out all this stock that they need to clear. Okay, so that's a look at the ROAS and spend distribution between the different channels, just to give you an idea. Let's actually dive into the roadmap that my team and I did for this client. So this is the real actual roadmap that we did for them, and I have just gotten rid of the client name there. So as I go through this document, there are going to be some places where you see some X's, and that's just where I deleted the client name or the name of a campaign. As I say, this has to remain anonymous. I'm not allowed at this time to share with you the client name. But I can share with you the exact strategies that we're recommending and putting in place over the course of the next few months of working with these guys. And what is a roadmap? A roadmap is essentially a really in-depth audit, and we go through the entire account, and we do this before working with any client for a done-for-you or consulting engagement. We always do a roadmap first, and it ends up being a 30 to 50 page Google Doc that's broken down usually into these exact sections. And what I'm going to cover with you today are what I think the most important sections, the sections that are most likely to apply to you in your business. These sections and the recommendations in the sections I'm going to cover today are very common recommendations, and we often find them that we recommend the same thing in a lot of the roadmaps we do. So there's going to be a lot for you to learn in this. What I'm going to cover is the bids and budgets. That's super important, and there's a reason why it's the first thing in our roadmap. It's because it's the most important thing to get right, and it's also the quickest thing to get right, but it's also the thing that requires the most expertise to get right. So getting your bids and budgets right, it's like a 5-minute job of actually clicking the buttons, but to be good at spending that 5 minutes takes 10 years, right? Like, you need a lot of expertise in knowing how the system works to be able to set the exact right bid strategy, budget, and how to manage that over time. So we're going to cover that. We'll cover conversion tracking a little bit. We'll cover the search stuff, Performance Max, and standard shopping stuff. That's all I'm going to cover today. I don't really want to cover with you YouTube ads or display or demand gen. And we went into measuring success. We talked about using third-party attribution platforms effectively. There's a lot of like super pro level stuff in here, but I want to cover with you the sort of 80-20, the lessons that are applicable in almost any e-commerce account, right? And any e-commerce account, in my opinion, should be running search and either Performance Max or standard shopping, and any e-commerce account should be getting the bids and budgets correct. So that's what we'll cover today. All right, so let's scroll down and look at this. And what I've done is I've just gone through this and I've highlighted the bits that I want to teach you today on this video. So bids and budgets, we covered this first because it's the most important. And what we found in this account is that they're doing a mix of manual, max conversion value, there's a bit of target ROAS in there, there's a bit of target impression share, they're doing a bit of maximized conversions, and they're doing a bit of maximized conversion value for display, and it's a bit of a mess. They've got like 10 different bid strategies all running in the account, and they're not using portfolios at all. So one of our core recommendations is to consolidate the bid strategy, to make it less segmented. Don't have a different bid strategy for every single campaign. Group your campaigns together and create a more cohesive bid strategy for the account, and you should probably be only using like 2 or 3 different bid strategies and only 1 or 2 different types of bid strategy. Instead, they've got every type of bid strategy and they're using different bid strategies in every single campaign, so it's a little bit messy right now. The goal of brand should be greater than 99% impression share, assuming its return on ad spend is very high. So I recently did a video on this, but I think this is an important thing for you to know. With your brand campaign, your search keywords should be segmented by brand and non-brand. For your brand campaign, generally speaking, what you want to do is make sure you're getting a return on ad spend above 1,000%. As long as your return on ad spend in brand campaigns is above 1,000%, then I say just go for maximum impression share. Now, when I say maximum impression share, I mean literally 100% impression share, right? So pull up your impression share columns in Google Ads, monitor it for your brand campaigns, and then make sure that for your brand campaigns, you're getting a 100% impression share. So here's how you can do that. Let's actually dive into the account, and you can see I have these impression share columns here, and if you don't have them here, then you can click the columns button here and you can pull them up by modifying your columns. And you want to get search impression share, you want to get search lost impression share due to rank, and then you want to get search lost impression share due to budget. And if we look at their brand campaigns, there was a big issue with their brand campaigns, and they're going to make a lot more money by fixing this. But if you look at that, this is their brand campaign. Sorry, the name's blurred out, but yeah, this is their brand campaign. And you can see they're getting a 33% impression share, despite getting a 56x ROAS. So far above 1,000%. That's 56,000% ROAS. And at that kind of ROAS, you should just be showing up 100% of the time, and only getting 33% impression share for your brand is like really bad if your ROAS is this high. So what I recommended to them, and what I recommend to anyone in this space, is assuming your ROAS is above 1,000%, then your impression share should just be 100%. And how do you do that? Well, what I would do here is I would change the bid strategy. There's a couple of different ways of doing this. You could do maximize conversion value bid strategy, and then you just control the budget. And if you switch to that bid strategy and you still see that you're losing impression share due to either rank or budget, then you just keep raising your budget. Every time you raise your budget, your 33% is going to go up and your 56,000 is going to come down. As long as the 56,000 stays above 1,000, then you're good. And I would just keep increasing the budget until the impression share comes to 100%. That's if you're using maximize conversion value bid strategy. One way of doing it that I sometimes prefer is just set a target ROAS bid strategy. Set the target ROAS to say 1,000%, or in this case, we could do it even 2,000% or 1,500%. You set the bid strategy at that level, and then once that target ROAS bid strategy is implemented, I would just whack the budget all the way up. Whatever the budget is now, I would just like 10x it straight away. And I wouldn't worry about doing that at all because there's loads of conversions in here. The bid strategy is going to get the hang of it really, really quickly. The target ROAS is going to make sure that I never fall below 1,500 or whatever it is. So I know that I can just raise the budget to the moon and get and capture this extra 70% of impression share as quickly as possible. And I'm going to do it safely because my target ROAS is in place. So a couple of different options there. I would probably recommend the latter option. If you are in this scenario, then you got to switch your bid strategy to target ROAS. You got to lower the target ROAS. I think the issue with these guys is they do have a target ROAS, right? But it's like, it's too high, like 6,000. So because their target ROAS is like 6,000, then they're losing out on impression share. So you just, in their case, actually what you need to do is just lower the target ROAS down to 1,000. And then that is going to allow the system to bid higher and get all that impression share back and make a lot more money. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Shopping ads. So we're still in the bids and budgets section here, but we're now in the shopping ads section of our bids and budgets section. So in shopping, they're using a lot of manual CPC, and we recommended they switch to target ROAS for this, and we also recommended that they use portfolios. So in shopping, they are getting hundreds of conversions, lots and lots of conversions. It's more than enough conversions. So let's go over to the shopping campaigns. And what you can see here is that overall shopping gets 500 conversions in the past 30 days, which is more than enough conversion data to be moving over to target ROAS, which is what I recommended that they do. Now, the reason why they didn't want to do target ROAS in the first place, the reason why they felt like they should be doing manual CPC is because there are certain products where they want to control the rate at which Google is advertising those products. They felt like if they just use target ROAS, then Google's just going to advertise their products with its own algorithm, and they won't be able to control and say, hey, I want to push more of this product and less of that product. Now, they actually can. You can get the best of both worlds. You can use target ROAS and get more money, because target ROAS, when you're getting like hundreds of conversions per month, I almost guarantee you is going to make you more money than manual CPC bidding, assuming that your conversion tracking is set up correctly and that there's no additional revenue data that Google isn't being fed. I almost guarantee that target ROAS will make you more money than manual CPC, but they thought that you couldn't also control which products get pushed more and which products get pushed less by Google when you're using target ROAS, and that was actually false. You can control this, you just need to set it up in your campaign structure. So if you are using manual CPC because you think with target ROAS you cannot control exactly which products get pushed by Google, know this, you can. You just need to put it into your campaign structure, and we are going to cover that a little bit later in this roadmap. Okay, so let's just scroll a bit to the next point. Yeah, so this is the point I was just covering. They want to control which products are being pushed. That's why they were on manual CPC. And you can still do this. You move to target ROAS, but you create a tiered campaign structure around that control that you want to have. So what do I mean by that? You have one campaign for just sort of medium, and then you might have one campaign for high or push. So you might have a whole campaign dedicated to the products that you really want to push right now. Like, let's say this particular product is a good seller where you have a really good margin and you want to make sure you push this particular product a hell of a lot more than you push your other products, that's what your push campaign is for. So you can call it what you like. We might call it the top spenders or the top products or the push campaign. And then you've got underneath that, you've got your normal campaign, and below that you might have your losers campaign or the products, a campaign for the products that you want to push less. So you create different campaigns in Shopping or Performance Max based on which products you want to push more or less. And then here's the key part. You apply the target ROAS that is most relevant for that strategy. So the products that you want to push go into the push campaign, and that campaign has the lowest target ROAS. When you have a lower target ROAS, Google can bid more, which means it bids more, it gets you a higher impression share, and thus it pushes those products more because those products are in the push campaign with the lower target ROAS. So that is the key. If you want to have this level of control while using target ROAS and while using automated bid strategies, you structure your campaign around that idea, around thinking about which products you want to push more and which products you want to push less. You also can and should be using portfolios for your shopping and search campaigns. So portfolios, I covered this in a recent video as well. So if you want a full video walkthrough on portfolios, go check out that video. I tell you what, why don't I link it on the screen up here so you can get a copy of that video. But portfolios are here in Google Ads. If you click that bit, you'll come to a portfolio screen. And what you can then do is create a portfolio which allows you to group multiple campaigns together into the same target ROAS or maximize conversion value bid strategy. The huge advantage of this is that then when you do that, all your conversions are grouped together in the same place. More conversions grouped together in the same place, in the same portfolio, which is kind of like a folder for multiple campaigns. Once those conversions are grouped into that portfolio, then Google makes smarter decisions on its automated bidding algorithm because it has more conversion data to work with. So it's like a super powerful feature, one that not enough people are using considering how absolutely useful it is. I use it in every single account that I run. And if you're running standard shopping ads instead of Performance Max, then that's one of the big advantages of standard shopping over Performance Max. Now, I usually use Performance Max and in some cases use standard shopping. It's on a client by client basis. It depends on their product and their goals and their ad spend. But when I am using standard shopping in an account, then one of the advantages it has over Performance Max is you can actually use portfolios on standard shopping. On Performance Max, you can't use portfolios. It's one of the annoying things about Performance Max. So yeah, standard shopping campaigns, create a structure around which products that you want to push more or less, and then use portfolio bids to group them into groups based on the target ROAS. You can group your standard shopping and your search campaigns into the same portfolio, and then that way you're going to get much better results. Okay, search campaigns. They've got lots of search campaigns. None of them reached 50 sales in the past 30 days. And then we made the same recommendation with their search campaigns, really, is like group it together, use a portfolio bid strategy. And when starting with your portfolio bid strategy, what I would normally recommend is that you just run whatever target ROAS was the average of those campaigns. So you create a portfolio, you set it to target ROAS, and then you look at what was the average overall ROAS of the campaigns I'm adding into this portfolio. Maybe you add 10 campaigns into the portfolio, you look at their return on ad spend over the past 30 days, you find that their average was 2.6. Now, maybe you want them to be doing 3.5, but you don't put the 3.5 target in there at this stage. When you're creating the portfolio, you put the 2.6. So whatever was their average over the past 30 days, just put that in as the initial target ROAS for your portfolio at the beginning. Let it stabilize, let it get some conversion data and make sure that it's happy. Then you can start cranking it up to 3.5 or whatever was your true target. So we talked about the search loss impression share due to budget, which is this column here, right? Now, one of the things you need to know about this column is that if you're on a target ROAS, or target CPA, and you are losing any impression share, any share of the market due to a budget constraint, well, that's bad because that means that you could actually just raise your budgets and spend more and get more at exactly the same return on ad spend. This comes at no cost, right? There are other methods of getting a higher share of the market, i.e. bidding more, and you don't always want to do that because by bidding more, you lower your ROAS, so there's a trade-off. But when you're losing impression share due to budget, you can get more conversions and there's zero trade-off. Assuming you're running target ROAS bid strategy, target ROAS or target CPA. So if you're on target ROAS, you're on target CPA, and you're losing impression share due to budget, just raise your budgets. You're going to spend more, you're going to get a higher share of the market, and your overall return on ad spend is going to stay stable because you're already using target ROAS, right? So that's a very important thing to monitor, and you should absolutely be aware of and know how to use your impression share columns in Google Ads if you want to optimize your Google Ads like a pro. So non-brand search campaign, lost impression share due to budget. Okay, so I wanted to just crank open these search campaigns for you and just show this to you. So I always have my impression share columns open. This is just part of my standard column set for any Google Ads account I look in. If you look in any of my Google Ads account, you'll always see I've added the impression share columns there. It's really important to always have a view of. And what I want to show you here is that these guys are only getting 14% impression share in search. 70% of it is being lost due to low bids, and 16 or 17% of it is being lost due to budget. So that means, and they're getting a 7.89 overall return on ad spend. So first step is to crank up your budgets 20%, and then you're going to get an extra 20% more spend and impressions and clicks and sales. You're going to get all of that, and your ROAS isn't even going to go down. You're going to continue to get 7.9 ROAS just by raising the budgets. Okay, so that's the easy one. And then the rest of the impression share that they're losing is due to rank. So the only way to fix this, really, the only quick way to fix this is to bid more. Long term, you work on your quality scores. Working on your quality scores and getting those up will reduce this number and increase your impression share over time. But short term, we want to fix this like this week or this month. You can't do that through quality score optimization. You do it through bidding more. So now what we do is we start trying to aim this for a lower return on ad spend. We want to bid more, which will make the return on ad spend come down, but that's fine as long as your return on ad spend is way higher than your overall target. So let's say in this account we're trying to get at least 3x or more. Well, 7x is way above that. That means we can increase our bids. This will come down a bit, but as long as it stays above 3, we're good. And then as you do that, as you increase your bids, this number is going to come down and this number is going to come up. And when this number comes up, we're happy, because this number coming up means we're getting a higher share of the market, means we're getting more clicks and sales, which is ultimately the goal of all of this. Okay, back to our roadmap. Okay, there was a section here on YouTube ads. I don't want to go into YouTube ads because I'm guessing most of you watching this are not doing a lot of YouTube ads yourself. Same with display. We're covering the core stuff today, the search and shopping. I did want to mention a little bit about conversion tracking, and that is just to say, make sure you have enhanced conversions set up. These guys were doing all of this stuff correctly, so our roadmap was just kind of confirming that. Luckily, we didn't have to say, hey, your conversion tracking is kind of not optimal. Actually, they were doing a good job on their conversion tracking. But yeah, they had enhanced conversions already set up. If you don't have that set up, make sure you do. It allows you to track more of the conversions that you might otherwise have lost. And the only small recommendation we had for these guys was to import their GA4, Google Analytics 4 purchases to Google Ads as a separate conversion action, and then set it to secondary, right? So for your conversion tracking, I do recommend you use the Google Ads website conversion tracking, not the Google Analytics 4 import. So use the Google Ads pixel for your conversion tracking because it tracks more data, but do have GA4 connected to your Google Ads account. Do be importing those conversions, but make sure to set those conversions as a secondary conversion, and then that way you're not actually using the data in Google Ads, but you do have a backup. More than once I've been in a situation with a client where the developer changed something on the website and all of a sudden the Google Ads tag has disappeared off the website, and now we're flying blind on Google Ads, like potentially losing tons of money. So it's really good to have GA4 importing the conversions just as a backup in case the Google Ads tag goes down for any reason. You've still got something in there reporting your revenue and conversions. Okay, we're going to cover search brand in just a moment, but before I dive into the search brand side of things, I just want to make you aware that these roadmap documents that my team and I do are available to you if you would like one. So if you do want me and my team to come into your Google Ads account and do a really, really in-depth audit of everything that's going on in there, we can do that. Just get in touch with me via the link in the description below. It'll come to this page over here. You can book a time in here to talk with either me or with my team director Lee. After you book a time with either myself or my team director Lee on this calendar here, we'll hop on a call and we'll describe to you the roadmap process. It takes about a couple of weeks for us to put one of these together for you, and you're going to get a super in-depth and actionable document for your business. So if that's of interest to you, book a time with me and we can discuss and see if I think a roadmap would be suitable for you in your situation. Okay, back to the roadmap, and we are into the search brand section. So they were running a specific search brand campaign in their account. That's good. You want to make sure that your search campaign is segmented by brand and non-brand. We're diving into their impression shares again. We kind of covered this already. Yeah, I wanted to let you know this bit as well. So I talked before about having a 1000% return on ad spend target for your brand. That's just a rough rule of thumb. What I usually recommend actually is to look at your non-brand ROAS target, whatever that is, whether that's 200% or 300%, and then look for brands to be doing maybe 4 to 5 times better than that. So if your non-brand's target is, say, 200%, then you want brands to be doing maybe 800 to 1000%, so 4 to 5 times your 200% target, whatever non-brand is. Your brand campaigns to be doing about 4 to 5 times the return on ad spend of your non-branded stuff. And if it does that return on ad spend, then I would just be looking to maximize its budget and maximize its impression share. Okay, let's scroll down to my next highlight. This is a very common thing. A lot of people think that you don't need to do ad testing in your brand campaigns, and these guys were guilty of that as well. So I made this recommendation, and I often find this in e-commerce accounts that I audit, is they've got ad testing in their non-brand campaigns, but for some reason they just thought, oh, my brand campaign, I don't need to test ads in there. Well, let me tell you, you do. And the difference in performance you can get from a good ad copy in your brand campaign versus a bad one is quite huge. So it is worth running 2 to 3 separate ads in your responsive search ad groups for your brand campaign, and to be optimizing those ads exactly how you would optimize your non-brand campaigns. You can make big differences in your CTR in brand just by doing this. Run 2 to 3 ads, check them regularly, pause the loser, write a new one to challenge the winner. Okay, diving into non-brand campaigns, like we're talking about portfolio bid strategies there, super important. There's some like housekeeping things that we found here. So these are things that you want to watch out for in your account. What we found is that there are lots of search terms in their search query report that haven't been added to the main account as keywords. And what I recommend doing here is that you check your search terms report once a week, and any search term that comes up in there that gets more than, say, 30 impressions in the last 90 days, you make a decision on that search term. Is it good or is it bad? Right? And if it's good, you want to add it to your account as a keyword. If it's bad, you want to add it to your account as a negative keyword. So we call this the seed mining method. This is the exact process here. So you check your search terms report. So I'll show you. So you come into your ad group and then you come to search terms. And from here, you're going to be able to see every search term that was triggered by your keywords. And then what you want to do is run a filter. So let's say impressions greater than, say, 30. And then what we say is added excluded is none. So it hasn't been added or excluded. And then anything that meets that criteria, you basically want to make a decision. Is it relevant to my business? Yes or no? If it is relevant, then we want to add it as a keyword into an ad group somewhere, whichever is the most appropriate ad group. If it's not relevant, then we want to add it as a negative keyword, probably to a negative keyword list that applies to the whole account. Do that process for every single ad group every single week, and over time, you're going to just build a much stronger account. So that was the recommendation we made here. And this is the process that we call the seed mining method. So you check your search terms report, apply a filter, and then everything that's in there, it's either good or it's bad. So if it's good, add as a keyword. If it's bad, add as a negative. There's some housekeeping stuff here. So duplicated search terms, you want to watch out for this. You don't want to have the same search term in multiple ad groups and multiple campaigns. So what you want to do there is to pick the ad group that you most want that keyword to appear in, and then just delete it from the other ad group so it's not duplicated in multiple places across your account. Similarly, you can look for keywords in conflict with a negative keyword. You want to avoid that if at all possible in your account. We use a tool called Analysis, by the way. So Analysis is super useful for automating these checks and making them really, really quick to run. And then you can very quickly be keeping your keyword lists in your account in good health just by making sure you run these checks and look at them once per week. So you want to avoid keywords in conflict with a negative keyword. You want to avoid duplicate keywords within the same campaign. And here we are, we're just recommending that you do all that on a regular basis, which is what I recommend for all advertisers in Google Ads. Here's an interesting point, is that they are using mostly phrase match, a little bit of broad match, and only 3 exact match keywords in the account. Now I happen to think this should be the other way around. Exact matches should be the most common keyword type in your account. And I think we covered this elsewhere. So exact match is where you have the most control over your click-through rate and your quality score. And you want to have a lot of exact matches in your account. So what you do is you use phrase match as your sort of discovery keyword, and you put your seed keywords into the account in phrase match, and then you're checking your search term report very, very regularly. And when anything is good, you add it into your account as exact match. So very, very quickly, your account should be filling up with exact match keywords, and phrase and exact for those 2 purposes. Exact match for precision, phrase match for discovery. That's the core of your keyword strategy, right? And then broad match only usually comes into it. We said as a last resort here, but what we really meant is broad match comes into it when you've kind of maxed out on phrase and exact match, and you're looking for the next lever to pull, the next way to scale your Google Ads. That's when you can test broad match. But if you haven't fully maxed out on everything you can do with phrase match and with exact match, you're not yet at the point where you want to be doing broad match. So most keywords in your account should be exact match. I recommend that for everyone. DSA, so I have another video where we go in depth on dynamic search ads, but essentially you want to be running dynamic search ads as a separate campaign type within your account. And I recommend running 2 types of DSA campaign. Targeted, where you target specific URLs or categories of pages within your website, and catch-all, which is kind of like your catch-all bucket. In your catch-all campaign, you just set the thing to target your whole site, and you set negative targets to exclude any targets that you included in your targeted campaign. And the whole purpose of the catch-all campaign is just to catch anything you might have missed. Okay, we are in the ad copy section now. You should be running 2 to 3 responsive search ads in all your search ad groups. And you should be doing proper A/B testing, and I recommend you run 8 headlines and 2 descriptions with your responsive search ads. Testing that we've done has shown this to be the most effective combination for responsive search ads, so I recommend that most of the time. And then you want to be checking your ads regularly, pausing the loser based on CTR, and then launching new winner ads to always try and get a better ad than your current best ad in the ad group. Performance Max campaigns. Okay, so they are not running Performance Max in this account, and the main recommendation that we had here was that you should be running Performance Max in your account, and they were a bit nervous about that. So the good way to get into Performance Max if you're nervous about transitioning over from standard shopping is to run a Performance Max uplift experiment. So you can find it in Google Ads here under experiments. So let's come out to all campaigns. So under experiments, if you click the plus button, you've got this thing here, which is a Performance Max experiment. And what you can do is you can do an A/B split test of Performance Max, and you can test it against standard shopping, and you can see if it will bring you an uplift in conversions, sales, and ROAS as a result. And normally when we do this, we find that yes, it does bring an uplift over standard shopping. You often have to give it at least 2 months to actually fully test. And these guys had run an experiment before, but they only let it run for like a couple of weeks, which is often not long enough to see the benefits of Performance Max. So if you want to do an A/B test to see if Performance Max can perform better for you, then yes, I recommend you do it as a campaign experiment and give it at least 2 months to run. So that's something you can do in your account if you're running standard shopping and you're nervous about moving to Performance Max. So you can use a Performance Max spend script that tells you exactly the spend distribution of your Performance Max campaign. Super useful when you are running Performance Max. If you just search for Mike Rhodes PMax script, this script here, Agency Savvy PMax, if you click into here and install this script in your account, there's a free version and a paid version, then you get these awesome reports like this, which are super, super useful when trying to analyze what you should be doing more of and less of in your Performance Max campaign. Standard shopping, and the main recommendations that we had here for them was to work on your product titles. Now, if you follow me, you probably know I talk about this all the time, but your product titles are super, super important. That's the bit to focus on in your data feed. If you want to do better at shopping and you want to get more clicks and more sales in shopping, and you only have time to optimize one thing in your data feed, I mean, ideally, you should optimize your whole data feed. But if you've only got time to optimize one thing, the one thing that I would do is your product titles. And these guys were not optimizing their product titles specifically for shopping, which is something you definitely want to be doing if you're not doing it already. So we gave them an example structure they can use for their titles there, and we actually created some titles for them as well. And this is something that you can and should be doing in your account if you're not doing it already. Campaign structure and optimizations. So this is actually recapping what we said about creating a campaign structure around your goals. So like a push campaign and a don't push campaign, for want of a better word. They had a really big list of negative keywords, but they were all applied at the campaign or ad group level. And what I recommend you do instead is to have a negative keyword list that is just applied to all campaigns, and then that way when you find a negative keyword to add, you just add it to your list, and then it automatically gets excluded to all your campaigns. So you want to make sure you're doing that. Shopping dupes. This is a bit of a more technical pro method that we run in some accounts. Don't want to cover that here, although I do have other videos on the shopping dupes method. Check those out if you want to know more on that. All right, we're going to cap it there, folks. There is more in this roadmap document, and as I say, if you want me to do a roadmap for your business, then head to the link below and we can talk about doing that together. And I don't want to cover the rest of this roadmap because the rest of it is stuff that might not apply to your account. And if you like this video, if you like seeing my in-depth real strategies that me and my team use on our client accounts, then you'll probably really like this video up here about my optimization catalog. In that video, I share the exact set of recurring optimizations that my team and I run on our client accounts, and I'm also giving you a free copy of our actual checklist that you can grab and download and start using in your account. So check it out if that sounds good.